Hello artists, how are you today? This is Mrs. McGehee and I'm back with another lesson. We've talked about portraits before, but who's ready to make a portrait in the style of Pablo Picasso? We're going to work on some Pablo Picasso faces today. Who here knows anything about Pablo Picasso? He is known for making his funny faces. They're sort of wacky all over each other and at strange angles. Here's a few examples. We have a woman with blue hat, and we have a woman with an orange beret. So Picasso makes portraits, but what are portraits? They are one of the genres of art to go along with landscapes, figure drawing or figure work, and they were a big deal before photography was invented. The camera revolutionized art in a lot of really amazing ways. But prior to that, somebody wanted a portrait of themselves to keep for friends or family. They had to hire an artist to capture the likeness for them. So, who here has had their portrait taken by a photographer? Raise your hand. See some hands. Give me some hands. Raise your hand. So speaking of portraits, does anybody know who this is? If you guessed the Mona Lisa, you're absolutely correct. She was painted by the artist Leonardo da Vinci in 1503 through 1506. Oil paintings like this take a very long time. Some portraits are traditional, like the Mona Lisa. Here we have Vincent van Gogh's self-portrait. Self-portraits are when the artist creates a portrait of themselves. Notice all of the layers of paint. It's interesting. There's swirls and all kinds of funky colors, but it's still fairly traditional. Other artists like to get a little wacky. This is Henri Matisse, who is known for playing with lots of color. Here's another one you might know. This was made by pop artist Andy Warhol in the 1960s. Does anybody know who the very famous sitter for this piece is? It's Marilyn Monroe. He was interested in pop culture and how it affected our world. So, Pablo Picasso, who is he? Well, he's known as a Cubist. So what is a Cubist? What is Cubism? Cubist artists try to capture many angles of their subject matter at the exact same time, which seems a little difficult, but that's why you end up with all these really interesting shapes, which we're going to explore. So if you look on this guy, we have one side and we have another, and that's why they look a little funky and fun. So today, we're going to make our very own Picasso faces. We're going to have fun with it. We're going to cut and paste. We're going to color some shapes. We're going to draw to our heart's content. I really hope you enjoy this lesson. Who's ready to make a funny Picasso face? The great thing about these portraits is that they're fun and wacky, and we don't have to worry about proportion near as much. However, we still need to remember that our eyes sort of go toward the middle of our circles. We could do all kinds of shapes. So let's start gathering our materials. We're going to need a black sheet of construction paper, a colored sheet of construction paper of any of your choice, and a white sheet of paper that we're going to draw our first face on. Start by drawing a funky shape to cover the outside of the face, and make sure to fill as much of the page as you can. We want these compositions to be large and in charge. Then we're going to draw a squiggly line down the middle with our nose, add eyes, mouth, and all kinds of funky, have fun with this shapes that you can. From there, we're going to cut out our white sheet of paper, and then we're going to use it to trace under our yellow sheet of paper. And then from there, we're going to cut out the middle squiggly line that we made on our white sheet of paper. We're going to layer our white face on top of our colored construction paper shape, and we're going to glue them on nicely, paying attention to keep everything as flat as we can. And then we're going to draw on the other side of our face, but here's the fun thing. We don't have to draw the same set of eyes. We could draw completely different shapes on each side of our project. The great thing about the Picasso Face project is you could really mix up your shapes. Nothing has to match. It's up to your creativity and anything that you can think of. Here I've decided to color in my project. Here are a few examples of the possibilities that you can use for your Picasso faces. Have fun!